Everyone, welcome to our Snowflake and Alation virtual workshop. We have a jam-packed session for you all today with some awesome speakers. So stay till the end where we'll be showcasing a demo in the product and answering all your questions. So please leave them in the chat. As a friendly heads up, the session is being recorded and will be shared out with you all afterwards. All right, we'll give everyone another minute or two to hop on here and then we can go ahead and get started. So stay tuned.
All right. Everybody can hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, there we go. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thanks for joining today's webinar. I think we can all agree that we're in the early stages of an AI revolution, and that this is no longer a trend or flavor of the month, but rather it's something that's very real and it's affecting us all in many different ways, both in our business and personal lives. However, to get trusted outputs from AI, it starts with the foundation, trusted data. Now, this is a nice platitude, but how do we actually realize that? That brings us to today's topic. We're going to share how we can use critical components of the modern data stack, Snowflake and Alation, to scale AI and data governance initiatives across the organization. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome our esteemed speakers. Go to the next slide, please. So I'm super excited to be joined by the following experts. Raja, could you introduce yourself and your role at Snowflake?
Yeah, absolutely, David. Great to be here. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am Raja Balakrishnan. I am a product lead at Snowflake, and I lead the product team responsible for all the governance capabilities built into the Snowflake platform.
Fantastic. And Gene, yourself?
Certainly. Gene Arnold from Alation, product architect. I do a lot of the work between the relationship between Alation and Snowflake, and you'll be seeing more about that today. Pleasure to be here with everyone.
All right, excellent. And my name is David Sweenor, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at Alation. I am a practitioner who's turned to the dark side of marketing. So Gene, if we go to the next slide, please.
Sure. Real quick, David, I'm seeing in the chat that there's some audio issues. Folks, is it with everyone or just a specific speaker? Because obviously I want to address that right now before we go any further. I can hear all, some seem fine. Okay, so it seems like it's kind of happening here and there. Okay, I don't know how I can change that. I just figured I would address that as quick as I can. Okay, let's keep on going. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, David. I just figured it was a good thing to check on.
Sure, no problem, Gene. All right, so for today's agenda, I'm going to spend a few minutes on the opportunity, challenges, and differences between predictive and generative AI. Raja's going to share how Snowflake Horizon and Alation work together, and then Gene's going to deliver a stellar virtual workshop spanning governance, metadata management, and data quality. We go to the next slide. So today we're on the frontier of AI and generative AI, and the need for trusted data has never truly been higher. The opportunity is staggering, and businesses are really under pressure to differentiate all the constrained budgets. If AI models are being created with poorly managed and untrustworthy data, these models, essentially, they're going to give you the wrong outputs and answers. Not only that, if your business is making bad decisions from poor quality models, you're putting your business at risk from a compliance perspective. Not only do we need to understand the quality and usage of the data feeding the models, we need to understand the provenance or lineage of that data. So businesses are struggling to comply with data and AI regulations. Those who get it right are going to have a sustainable competitive advantage. Those who don't are at risk. To achieve this, you need intelligence about your data to govern the quality of AI and other data-driven initiatives. But this isn't easy. Gene, if we go to the next slide, please. We can see here that 69% of organizations are struggling to deliver measurable value from their data and AI initiatives. There are many reasons why, but if you think about the top factors, they're really four to consider. Data, they can't find it. If we can find it, it's of questionable quality, and we don't quite know how to use it. People, there tends to be a lack of technical skills across most businesses. We have processes where there might be misalignment with AI, what's going on with AI developers and the business, and technology. We call this a lack of data culture. Now you might ask, what is a data culture? Well, the culture is the habits that people have when interacting with data at your organization. I just saw a McKinsey article this morning that said only 10% of generative AI projects are making it into production. We go to the next slide. This is also backed up by an IDC survey that says 29% of the respondents have issues with data availability and data quality. They're the biggest concerns. Another 24%, cited lack of trust in data. And then, remaining a large percentage of people citing collaboration, compliance, and culture. Technology is the thing that gets us excited, and it's certainly very important in how these things are disrupting the way we do business. But in deploying these technologies, everything else, it's the data and it's the people element that's the most important thing in ensuring the success of these AI programs. If we go to the next slide, when we talk about predictive AI, why is contextual data important? Well, as I mentioned previously, the quality of what you put in the models affects what comes out of them. So we see the model creation process here. It's a flow from data ingest, prep, model training and evaluation, and finally deployment. When we talk about scaling data and AI governance, organizations need a data intelligence platform that can supplement every stage of this model creation process, starting with data discovery. I got to be able to find the data. We can move to profiling and quality. I have to understand the quality. We have meta versioning and traceability, and finally lineage, governance, and compliance. But really, the idea of AI governance should be around this entire process, ensuring that you're starting with quality data, ensuring safe, traceable, and contextual model development with trusted model outputs. If we go to the next slide, Gene, let's talk about generative AI. Generative AI is a bit different. If you think about it, these models are so big. They're often in the hundreds of billions of parameters. They take an enormous amount of time, money, and energy to train them. Because of this, only a few organizations are going to build them. So most organizations, they're going to adopt a foundation model that has been pre-trained. That's what they're going to do. What are they going to do? They're going to go to OpenAI, Microsoft, Anthropic, open source, or somewhere else. They're going to grab a model and they're going to use that in their business. Now, if you think about this, if everybody's using the same model, what's their competitive advantage? It's the context or organizational knowledge that you apply to these models. So the graph on the right shows different ways of how you can inform large language models with your organization's data. We see RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, prompt engineering, fine tuning, and a combination of those. Depending on the application you're training for this, training it for, you might have external data. The need is low or high, and on the x-axis, domain understanding. So folks who have adopted a data intelligence platform with a data catalog, this is the differentiator. We have organizations exploring using the metadata from the Alation data catalog to inform their RAG implementations. This is their competitive advantage. If we go to the next slide, I like to say the proof is in the pudding. Alation has more than 600 customers across every industry vertical. That's 40% of the Fortune 100. Now, organizations, they are more successful when they build that data culture, and Alation helps the delivery of that. If we look at GoDaddy, that's a great example. They have saved a significant amount of time when searching for data. In fact, our average customer saves $1.2 million in search time alone. If we look at Vattenfall, they've avoided millions of dollars of fines of being able to govern their data assets effectively, managing GDPR and PII compliance. The GXS Bank, out of Asia Pacific region, AI is at the core of all they do, and they are using the data intelligence platform to ensure that they have the right data for their AI applications. So with that brief preview, I'm going to hand it over to Raja to talk about Snowflake Horizon.
Excellent, David. Thank you so much. Can you go to the next slide, please? Awesome. So for those of you who might be new to Snowflake, I just want to start by saying that Snowflake's AI data cloud is a global network. Think of it as a global network, and a global network that connects you to the data, applications, and services that are most critical for your business. Technically speaking, the AI data cloud is made up of two key elements: the Snowflake platform that provides a unique architecture that supports all data types workloads, languages, runtimes on a common data foundation. So all the machine learning, all the application, all of that is built on top of the platform. The second element really is the content that is in it, right? This content could be data sets, it could be applications, and anything that your business relies on. By being the unified and fully managed platform, Snowflake gives you the ease of use, simplicity, scale, and most importantly, the unified governance layer. As you can see on this slide, Snowflake takes a horizontal governance approach that spans across data, AI and ML, all the great application stuff that David mentioned, and applications, not necessarily ML applications, but any kind of applications that rely on the data. And we do this, we've taken this approach to ensure that only the right people can have access to the right content across the board, not just limited to data, but apps and models. If you go to the next slide, David, to take advantage of this horizontal platform idea that Snowflake has been cheerleading for quite some time, we enhanced it by introducing Snowflake Horizon, which is our new brand. It's an umbrella that helps us, tell you how the native governance capabilities come together in the Snowflake platform. From a product perspective, our vision, Snowflake vision, is as part of Horizon to provide you a unified and well-integrated set of product capabilities in the platform that are consistent, like I said earlier, for all the content, whether it's data or apps or AI ML. But even further than that, it's not just about governance in a single environment. If you're already a Snowflake customer, you might know about Snowflake accounts. The scope of Horizon goes well beyond a single account and takes care of your entire organization, no matter how many Snowflake accounts you might have. And even further, it reaches out to data that might not be in Snowflake. Think of iceberg tables that might be in storage outside of Snowflake, maybe registered to Polaris, our open source catalog. Whatever it is, Horizon gives you a platform to get access to all that information. That's a vision, but concretely, the immediate goals are very simple. If you're a data team member, an analyst or a scientist, or you're serving them, the idea is to make the search experience better for them across the board, right? So discovery and understanding the context of the data. And if you're a governor or a steward who's trying to make sure that your environment is well governed, we want to provide you capabilities that help you secure, share in a private manner, and also be compliant with requirements both inside the organization and outside the organization. So this slide is simply organizing all these different ideas under a Horizon, all these requirements and expectations into 5 simple pillars, and all our capabilities and integrations are built within the context of these 5 pillars. So if we go to the next slide, David, I can quickly give you a few examples and proof points of how Alation has taken advantage, leveraged all these native, capabilities, the platform capabilities to build user experiences for business users, right? If you, go forward and explore all the animation, David, and I want to kind of talk about a few things. I want to spend some time on the first point here. When we say compliance, I want to be sure we don't just mean regulatory compliance. We also consider data quality, lineage, and all these enablers for achieving compliance with your obligations under this pillar. And concretely, meeting the quality SLA expectations of your data teams is an important aspect of that compliance, right? Whether you're building models on top of the data, or you're just consuming the data and sharing it with your executives, whatever it is, the quality of the data is very important. So concretely, Snowflake recently launched a capability called data quality monitoring. For those of you who are not familiar with it, think of it as a built-in Snowflake capability that continuously monitors the quality of data in desired objects that you specify. Very simply put, we are basically providing you the ability to define your own SQL expressions for measuring quality if you have custom business metrics, or you could use our predefined library of common quality metrics that come out of the box, and you can just use it on day one, right? Whatever metric you use, we, Snowflake in the platform, automatically measure these metrics on the objects that you desire in the background without any a manual intervention or anything like that. And we ultimately record all the measurements in a centralized table in Snowflake, most importantly in open telemetry format. So any you can use it in different mechanisms, whether it's consuming within Snowflake or sharing it with Alation and others. So I want to kind of talk about what Alation has done to take advantage of this native capability that I mentioned. The Alation team has built an integration to make these quality metrics directly relevant to business users of Alation. Concretely, a key benefit of this integration is that as an Alation user, you can quickly understand the quality of the data within the Alation user interface and within the context of the work that you're doing. So this product and the integration that I'm talking about will become very clear to you when we see the demo that Gene will be showing us in a few minutes. So in addition to data quality, Snowflake and Alation have been working for quite some time, and we have built a rich set of integrations over the years. I just want to highlight a few. Snowflake has a capability called tag-based masking, which enables customers to scale their security and governance by automatically masking sensitive columns and PII columns with the appropriate access policy. We've had this for quite some time, and Alation has built a great integration by leveraging this capability that specifically provides stewards, you as a steward, the ability to have a UI-driven workflow to protect the sensitive data in your environment. And it also, Alation through the integration also allows you to see all your policies across your Snowflake accounts in a single visual interface in the console, and then take action based on which objects you're trying to protect. That's one of the great integrations that we built with Alation over the years. The second relatively recent capability in Snowflake is called data clean rooms. It's a privacy capability. It's a platform capability, and the main benefit of Snowflake's data clean room is the ability for you or your company to be able to share even the most sensitive data with your business partners by putting guardrails around that data in terms of how it can be queried, what kind of queries, etc., etc. Alation has built a great integration that enables you as stewards to get visibility into which data is being shared in the data clean room, and more importantly, what kind of guardrails, what kind of queries, and so on are enforced on the data that is shared. And you can use this to keep track of compliance, to keep track of visibility of what data is being shared and how it's being shared. These are just a few examples that I gave, but the integration between Alation and Snowflake is much deeper, and it enables Alation users and customers to be able to see Snowflake assets across multiple Snowflake accounts in a single console in Alation, whether it's for search, discovery experience, cataloging, and so forth. So with that quick background, I want to pass it to Gene, who will be walking us through a few more slides and show us a demo of many of the things that I talked about. With that, back to you, David.
Sure. If we go to the next slide. So the Alation Data Intelligence Platform, it's built for everyone. So no matter if you're a technical or non-technical user, you can use this platform. It's open and extensible. We have hundreds of enterprise connectors and APIs, and it is proven by 40% of the Fortune 100. We go to the next one, Gene. As you can see, we have a long history of integration with Snowflake, as Raja mentioned, and several competencies across a number of different industries. So we go to the next one. And with that, Gene, I hand it over to you.
Okay. Real quick, can you hear me?
We hear you just fine.
All right. Excellent. So as David introduced today's session, we are going to be doing a bit of a virtual hands-on lab type of thing. But if you'd like to actually do this later on, right? Grab your own cup of coffee, sit at your desk, go through this at your own pace. We encourage that. Okay, you'll simply go to Snowflake, start up a free trial. There are a few steps you have to go through to get the Alation part set up. We have a quick start ready for you to go. I don't really have time to go through each step right now, but we are here to help you get set up if you need to. But what I just want to express is the fact that we want you to do this. So sit back, watch the demo that I'll be going through today, but everything I'm doing, you could set up and do as well, and then you can learn at your own pace and play around with some other things as well when you go through the demo. That being said, here's what we'll be talking about today, which also you would also be able to learn about if you chose to go through the lab at your own time. We'll talk about data governance. We'll talk about metadata management. And I'm really glad Raja is as excited as we are around data quality, because we're going to cover that as well. Also, if you have any questions, there is a Q&A section inside of the web interface that you're in right now. Please post your questions there. David will be monitoring those questions. If there's a question that I can answer during the section that I'm in, we'll address it. If not, there will be a Q&A session at the end of the demo. With that being said, I'm going to pop out of this and go over to Alation. Okay, so here we are in Alation. This is our really cool new Neo UI. It's beautiful. It's a lot of work's been done on this, and the team has done an amazing job with it. So I'm always happy to start with that, because there's a lot of work that's been done on this, and some major kudos need to go to the team for putting this all together. What we're going to be doing today, and again, what you'd be able to do as well, because you'd have the same interface. In fact, what I've spun up here is exactly what you would have if you chose to do the same thing. Okay, excellent. You're going to move over to the lab section, just like I am. Okay. And I'm going to close this to grab a little bit more real estate. And we will be talking about the data governance and quality lab. And the first thing we'll do is follow the number 1 step, go through to number 5. That'll be our demo. So let's get started. Establish a governance framework. Let's talk about why we're even doing any of this. It was brought up earlier, and it's a huge point. AI is amazing, but all of these new tools rely on one thing, and that is data. Okay, so if you're going to take out a model and you're going to train a model, you would want to train that model on some reliable data, right? A model trained on poor data, well, you kind of understand where the results are going to go from there. So a major play in the AI world, and where Alation falls into that, is making sure that everything works, right? Making sure that you trust the data that you're building these models on top of. Then you can also document the models and add them into Alation, catalog them if you'd like. But before we even get that far, let's just make sure the model is even going to work, okay? A key part to that is establishing a governance framework. You need to have a team, right? You need to have some kind of methodology. You need to work with a vendor that's been doing this for years and years. We've built the entire methodology framework. We've implemented this with hundreds of customers. So when you move over to the Alation catalog, we step you through this. We help you set up a governance methodology. We have all the steps, okay? So in order to have good, reliable data, you need to have a plan. Okay, and Alation can help you set that up. Perfect. And we've got a number of different things you can read about here. Again, please encourage you, take the time to start up one of these labs on your own. But a couple of the key ones that I want to bring up: knowledge silos. If you think about all the data that you have in your organization, it's hard for people to know all about it. Okay, so what happens, and we've all seen this firsthand, is you need some data to do something. You didn't know that data existed, so you went and you found it. You didn't know that it actually is already there in your company, so you created a silo of data. Does it have PII in it? Is it protected? Are you using it properly? Is it accurate? And did you know that the data is literally sitting right over here? Without a catalog, you can't find all of your valuable data. Snowflake is massive. You can put everything inside of Snow. I am a massive Snowflake fan, big Snowflake fanboy. But you can do a lot with that tool. You need a way to organize it and catalog it, and data silos happen all the time. And then, of course, after you find your data, let's just hit on it again. Are you going to have data quality issues? All right. And if you do have data quality issues, because it happens, do your business users know about them? You'll see a demo of that in just a few moments. And there are lots of other things that are important about having a catalog and having a methodology on how to use it, which, of course, I encourage you to learn more about. We're here for you. Excellent. So let's keep on trucking. Let's talk about identifying some policies that your organization might need. The creation of policies. So let's just talk about policies real quick. You should be thinking about enterprise data management strategy type policies, right? How do you handle your data in an enterprise world? Metadata management policies. What does a completely curated table look like? What fields are required? Do you have specific subject matter experts that need to be brought in to help address how the data is, the metadata is set up? Do you have, look, there it is again, proper data quality policies in place? Another big one that I kind of like to just get down to the bottom over here, data retention and archival policies. Do you know how long you're supposed to keep the data? And when you need to get rid of the data, do you even know what the steps are? Lots of different policies need to be documented, as well as data masking policies. You're going to see both those policies in just a click of the mouse down over here. So the idea is that you need to have policies documented on how to work with your data. Your business users need to be able to find those policies easily. They need to know that they're accurate and up to date, and they need to be readily available to these users when they're looking at the data. They can't be on the Z drive someplace or in a Google Drive somewhere, and you have to hope they find it. The policies not only need to be available, but they need to be available and easy to get to when your users are actually ready to use the data that they found. Let's check out some policies. So again, I just want to keep bringing it up over here. You get to do the same thing. I'm going to go through this step right here, but you get the chance to play around with it, maybe click on a few extra buttons that we don't have the time to click on today. But let's get going over here. We're going to check out a policy. Specifically, we're going to open up our policy center. We are going to look at the personal data handling policy group. From there, we're going to actually take a look at the policies in there. We're going to open up a specific policy, learn a little bit about it, and then check out a really cool Snowflake data masking policy. Boom. Now we're taking a look at the policies. So, easy to set up. You've got your policy groups, and you've got all your policies that you have available to you. Okay, all of these policies can easily be organized within limitless groups that you can set up. I'm going to move over to the next tab and open up the personal data handling policy group. And in here, just like I mentioned, there are a couple different policies available for you. We're going to first focus on the personal data protection policy, and then click on our customer name masking policy. So if we take a look at the personal data protection policy, what is this thing? What is this policy? This is a policy that is inside of Alation, a document that explains to your users how to handle personal data. Fully curated, lots of information, right? When does this policy need to be reviewed, right? When is the expiration date? Who's in charge of this particular policy? There's a conversation section if you have any questions and you want to speak to people about the policy. It's not just a Word doc. It's a living document that you can interact with. In fact, learn about what PII is. Wait a minute. Are there other related policies that I should know about that fall within this category? Yeah, here's a click. Here's a link. You see, it's all right here. You get to learn about everything you need to know about this particular policy right here. Also, you can start finding out what data you have in the catalog that is associated with this policy. So that's pretty cool. You can go from the policy to the data or from the data to the policy. And I'll show you the second one in just a moment. So here we are looking at a personal data protection policy. NetNet is a policy that helps your business users understand how to properly use the data that they've discovered and make sure that your organization stays compliant. Let's check out that other policy I mentioned. Okay, this particular policy is a data masking policy. Notice there's a policy type. The first one we took a look at was the policy here. Now we'll look at a dynamic data masking policy. You can also have as many different policy types as you'd like, but we're not going to get into a setup Alation demo right now, but it is very, very configurable, no code required whatsoever, limitless options in this area of the product. Okay, now this looks a little bit different now, doesn't it? Right, now we're looking at a dynamic data masking policy. Even kind of sounds cool. So what's going on here is we actually pulled in a policy from Snowflake. This is a masking policy that we pulled in through our connector directly into Alation. Okay, I can look at the SQL and understand how the policy works. This might not be for everybody. Hang tight. I'm going to show you something pretty cool. But you can understand what the policy is meant to do. I can also take a look at any data that has this mask attached to it. Okay, that's really cool. And like everything in Alation, lots of fields to add in more information and learn more about this policy. But the real winner here is this button right here, Add Columns. What this allows you to do, if you have proper security access, if you have rights, notice this dialog that opened up and said, hey, Gene, I'm taking you someplace that we need to make sure you have rights to go to. Okay, Alation never lets you see or do anything that you wouldn't have rights to do anyway. It's not a backdoor key to anything that you have in your organization. Okay, so I would not be able to go any further unless I had proper rights, which I do. So let's move forward over here. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually connecting to Snowflake, making sure everything's okay. And then as a business user with, again, proper rights, I can actually add this masking policy to other columns that I think should have it. Should everybody have this right? No, not at all. But there are certain business users that are stewards of data within your catalog that actually really do know what policy should be applied, but might not be the folks that you want to have log into Snowsite and do it there with SQL statements. They do have the knowledge on whether or not they should apply the mask. They just need an easier way to do it. Right here, right inside of Alation. That's a pretty cool integration that we have there between Snowflake. Definitely something that is worth checking out. So that is going to handle the policy section. Let's sneak back over here.
Hey, Gene, this is David. Before we leave that,
Yes.
quick question. Lots of questions on policies. How tunable and configurable are the policies, and are there guardrails around the policy frameworks?
Sure. I'm going to speak more towards the Alation ones. The Snowflake ones, it actually has to be, it's a little more technical. You'd set them up in Snowflake. We sync them in through our connector. It's not hard either, but the actual Alation policies are rather simple, right? If we take a look at our policy right here, personal data protection policy, I can come over here. and I can come in here and do whatever I need to do with this. If I need to edit it or change settings or access rights, I can do that. I can click the edit button and just change this one little section. I can also set these up so that I don't have access rights to do this. I can also set these up that they're built off of a particular template so that there are specific custom fields ready for me to fill in, so it's easier to produce a particular policy type. This has all been designed to be quick and easy to use, template driven, no code whatsoever.
Great, Gene. Thank you. And I'm going to ask you one more, and I'm going to let you continue on the demo. But Ravindra asks, do I need to load the policy and related data into the tool, or is the tool smart enough to pull the data attributes once the policy is loaded?
Ah, good one. It's actually smart enough to see that. So what the connector does is it takes a look at the Snowflake data. I'm assuming you're speaking about the Snowflake data right now. And it takes a look at the Snowflake data, and it looks to see if the masking policy is attached to it. And that's why it showed up on that list, because we take a look at each column and see if a policy's been attached. What we do not do, and I just want to make sure I address this, is if it says last name, we don't automatically apply policies on our own. That is something that you would do. I don't think it's something that you would want us to just start doing. So I just wanted to make sure if that's where that question was directed to, I would make sure I answer it on both sides.
Great. Thanks, Gene. Continue on.
Okay, thanks. So, benefits. Establishing a governance framework is important. Okay, having policies to reinforce these methodologies are key. Okay, so now let's get into a part that I feel is near and dear to me, and that's search and discovery. Honestly, look, we do some great things with Snowflake. We really do. But I would have to say probably the biggest reason an organization would have Alation and Snowflake together is simply because we're kind of like the manual to help you understand how to use Snowflake. If you think of it in all the data that they have, right? How do I find all this data? How do I properly use all this data? All right. Alation. It's a great way to find all your data. But I do want to make sure I bring up the fact that obviously, again, huge Snowflake fan. But if you think of your own architecture, there's a pretty good chance you have more than one database architecture, right? Even the fact that maybe you only have one, maybe you only picked Snowflake, which is wonderful, good choice. But do you have a BI tool? Do you have a file system? You're going to have more than just one thing. How do your users find all this data? Data discovery. Alation provides a single location for data consumers to search across all your data. Data silos, bad. Alation helps prevent them. I need a place to be able to search for everything. That's going to be Alation. Okay, data accuracy. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm going to show it to you live. But data accuracy, we can help with tagging the data so you properly understand what the data is about. We offer things like trust check flags. Has the data been deprecated? Is there any warning or information around the data? Like, should I use a PII policy or make sure I follow one when I use the data? Is it endorsed? Do other users want to recommend this data to be used? I tell you about it. And data consistency, right? Here we go again. Data quality, data literacy. All of this falls underneath Alation. I like literacy a lot because this is pretty cool. Because as a technical person, I always want to make sure I'm working properly with, let's just say, business users or sometimes not as technical people, because we need to work together. We're a team here. That's how this is supposed to happen. Notice how Alation can help bridge the gap between technical and non-technical data consumers. What does that mean? Well, if I'm a business user and I found some data that's of interest to me, but I have a question, how do I ask the subject matter expert about that data? Where are they? I don't even know how to find them. Use Alation. I know who the data owner is. I know who the data steward is. I can even ask the question in Alation and they'll know about it. And then the actual answer gets cataloged. So if someone else has that question, the answer is right there in front of them. I like that feature a lot because I think that teamwork is huge. People need to work together. And if you have a specific skill set, you can help someone else that does not, and they may have a different skill set that they can share back to you. It really is about teamwork. This helps foster that. Okay, let's start doing some searching and discovering and having some fun over here. We are going to search for customer. We're going to actually filter down the results a little bit, show you how all that works. Okay. And we're actually going to drill down into that data. And that's where I'm going to show you all around trust check flags and lineage and lots of cool things like that. So let's get going. Inside of Alation, you always have this search bar up on top. It doesn't ever go away. And that's pretty cool. So that no matter what you're doing, oh, now I got to search for customer. Now I have to spell customer correct, or I can't search for it. All right, I typed it in, I clicked enter, and I got 143 hits. It's demo data. In your world, you could have 50,000 results, okay? I'm going to stick to 143 because we only have so much time in the demo. But the idea here is you've got a pretty cool search results screen where I have all kinds of great filters to narrow down the result set to something that's manageable and something that'll help me do what I need to do. So in this particular use case, I'm actually looking for tables. So again, lots of different filtering tools, but I'm just going to filter my result set down to tables. Excellent. I've only got 12 items left. Notice they're all tables. That's pretty cool. Now, let's just say your organization has a policy where you have to only use endorsed data for specific types of use cases, specific reports, whatever this might be. But regardless, I have to only use endorsed data for the project that I'm working on. I can do that right from here. Okay. I can take a look at the screen. I can notice that these little green guys right here mean endorsed. But let's just say we had more data. Piece of cake. I come over here, take a look at flags, only bring back endorsed data, and look at that. Tables that are endorsed, game on. I found exactly what I needed, and now let's go drilling further. Now we're actually looking at a table. This screen, like all of our other templates, can be completely customized to fit your needs. Not one piece of code required to add the fields in, change things around. It's all good. So what do we see on this screen? Well, first of all, we've got a cool little breadcrumb trail, so we know where the data is coming from. Notice how we have a nice, easy to understand title. Remember what I clicked on? It was customer. There it is. Like that's not that hard to figure out. But for our data folks, you know what some of these tables and columns could be named. And it gets a little bit odd, right? Alation allows you to add in nice, easy to understand titles to your columns, to everything pretty much. Now across the top, remember before, we know that it's also been endorsed. Okay, that's pretty cool. We also know that there is some important information that I have to know about. And we have some PII policy information right here that I could learn more about by just clicking on there, and we're good to go. Excellent. Now, if we take a look at this screen, there's quite a bit of information, more than I can cover right now. I'm looking at the clock. I've only got about 15 minutes left, and that's going to go so fast. That's why I urge you to definitely take a look at this yourself, but I'm going to kind of go through a couple of them real quick. Right, we've got queries that you can use in the system, right? We've got all kinds of different things like lineage, so you can know where the data is being used elsewhere within your organization. Pretty cool, right? We also have users to speak to. I've mentioned this whole teamwork thing. Okay, Gene, prove it. Well, here's right here. Who's the data steward? It's Sally. Great. Oh, there's no data owner. Well, Sally, that's something you want to make sure you go and find for us. As the steward, you may want to go in here and add a data owner. Okay, excellent. Who would a good data owner might be? Well, we've got the top users that use the data the most. There's a ton of information, way more than I can cover right now, but it's definitely more than just, here's a title. We give you lots of great information. We also give you the ability to use AI to rewrite the description. So what we do is we use our own models to look at all aspects of this data and suggest what this description should be for you. So if Sally found a table or a column or a schema or whatever that doesn't have a description, she can say, well, hey, Alation, can you help me write it for me? Yeah, click the button and we're good to go. Very, very cool things. So search and discovery, huge, super important. You need to be able to find your data easily. David, any questions on that before I move to the next section? I do see it's tight, and I want to make sure I keep going.
Yeah, so many questions, Gene, but maybe just one here. And I think this search is a great place to ask it. Can Alation be the centralized knowledge repository, including pipelines, schedules, alerts, and so forth? And
it can do quite a bit. I'm going to answer it by just coming back over here. We're going to talk about the data quality processor in just a moment. But the data quality processor is a great example of our new document hub functionality in the product. That allows you to build out any kind of document and architecture, folders and files, and build out a real great way of organizing just about anything. A lot of companies use that for data products, where they put in data product information inside of Alation. And notice how it is literally on top as a first-class citizen to search on within the product. So my maybe a little longer than quick answer is yes, we can build out quite a bit of information. Obviously, each use case would have to be viewed first.
All right. Well, thank you, Gene, and thank you, Srikar, for that answer. Continue on, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So benefits, I think we kind of jumped into that. Search and discovery. It empowers your users to find the information they need to do their jobs. All right. Now that we've found some data, can we actually play around with some of it? And you totally can. So what I'm going to do right now is something that I find is super cool. And I think it's an area of Alation that needs even more attention. Because now that we've helped you find the data, okay, find, understand, trust your data. But there's another one. Actually use it. Okay, I'm going to actually show you how you can use the data now that you've found. So we're going to click on this particular link. And what this is an actual query that is cataloged within inside of Alation. Remember I mentioned before around data literacy, teamwork. I'm not the best at writing queries. In fact, there's a gentleman in the company called Taha. Yep, I'm mentioning your name, my friend, and you deserve some credit because he writes some amazing queries and he's helped me out a number of times. Okay, there's the teamwork. I had a use case. He helped me write the query. I used his query. That's a real story. Okay, that's what this is right here. People can create queries and help their teammates. They can publish the queries. If I have a question on the query, I can, again, come back to the conversation. But more importantly, granted, this is not a very complicated query, but I can run this query right here. So if it was pretty complicated and I look at it and go, oh my goodness, I don't even know what this thing is, you don't have to know. Watch. You click on Run Query and, oh, actually, let me show you something first. See the red part? The red part allows you to actually dynamically build the little UI that popped up. It actually asks you the question on how to run the query. It takes the where clause and puts it as a dynamic option right on the screen. Can't go too much more than that, but just understand that is actually a very, very cool feature. So I'm going to run this query. Now, I've already set up my connection string. Remember I said before, it is not a backdoor. Alation is not a backdoor to get to data that I couldn't get in the first place. But I set this up ahead of time. So I passed in a particular state to the query, and I am pulling back live Snowflake data right now. So I found some data. I found what queries are available against that data. I'm running one of the queries because I have proper rights and I have access to this data. I can export this data, or maybe what I found on the screen is everything I need. But I am now looking at live Snowflake data because Alation helped me find it. And if any of this data had any specific or PII data in it, I would know what policies to use. This is cool. But let's say you are that person that likes to write these queries, or you want to be that technical person to help out your team and provide some queries to help them do their jobs. Well, watch this. I can take this query and I can open it up in something called Compose. And now I'm in a SQL editor. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger so you can see it a little bit easier like that. Now, why would you use this and not Snowsight? You wouldn't. I use Snowsight all the time. You would use this to work with some of your data that you also want to share with your teammates. You want to build some queries, or maybe you want to jump in here and write some of your queries because this has some functionality that Snowsight does not. Watch when I click on the table name. All of the curated information from Alation is right here and available for me to see. Okay, I'm going to go a little smaller. Okay. What kind of data do I get back if I click on a state? Well, here's all the profile information and the data about state. Okay, description around state, everything I want to know about these different items. Everything in the catalog is now at the fingertips of the individual that's writing the queries. What you could do here is not only run these queries, but you could take this query and I could clone it, tweak it, right? Maybe add a couple different columns that I want in there, save it and republish it back into the catalog for other users to use. Okay, now, another cool thing I want to show you. What if you're looking for something in between just a form, or that's a little too technical for me, Gene, I don't like that. What if I was able to give you something that falls right in between that you are already familiar with using and can just jump into right now? You'd be like, that sounds pretty cool. So I'm going to show it to you. We have something called connected sheets. We actually bring the Snowflake data right into the spreadsheet tool of your choice. Right now, we support Google Sheets and obviously Microsoft Excel. I'm using Google Sheets. That's the one I'm the most familiar with, but everything I'm showing you right now is available in Excel as well. This would be what I would say falls in between. I need a little bit more flexibility than at Form, Gene, but I'm not writing SQL. Okay, I can actually connect directly to Alation with connected sheets, and I have this particular sheet already populating data from this particular table, right? I can drill down and learn about this data right from Alation inside of, again, this is Google Sheet, but it's connected, okay? Refreshed yesterday at 10:34. You're connected to the data. So now that I have the data here, it's actually connected so that it can be refreshed all the time. And I don't have a lot of time left, but if I can click on the Browse Catalog to download, I can actually open up the interface and I can start looking at the Alation catalog right from here, okay? And from this window, I can take a look at the different data sets that are available and even the different data queries that are available for me to actually run and use right here from this screen. Here are the different data sets, right? Everything that I have access to, that's cool. Different queries, they're all here as well. Connected Sheets is awesome. It's such a cool tool. It's definitely something you have to take a look at.
It is awesome, Gene. It's just a 5-minute warning, so I don't know if we want to jump to the data quality section.
Go in there right now. Thank you so much for keeping me in check because I get a little excited and sometimes
it's an exciting topic.
It's tough. All right. So great. We talked about all those cool things. Let's talk about data quality, which is also near and dear to me. Okay. Because it's actually something that my team has worked very hard to put together. Okay. Data quality. So Snowflake has put together, as Raja mentioned earlier, an awesome new thing within their product, Snowflake, around data metric functions, data quality. Snowflake can look at your data and find out, do you have nulls? Is the email formatted correctly? Phone number, for all kinds of, more than I can cover right now. The only thing that's a little bit tricky is keeping my phone muted. What's a little bit tricky is making sure that your users can actually see that information inside of Alation, right? If Snowflake says you've got 5 nulls, is 5 like null email addresses? Is 5 good, bad, or horrible? And do your end users know about that? Well, Alation has something called the data quality processor that helps make all this come together, which I'm going to show you right now. If we go over here to our lab and move out and look at the data quality processor, the first thing you'll see if you drill into the data quality processor are all the different metrics that you have around the different data metric functions that are within inside of Snowflake right now. Okay, whether they're stock ones or custom ones, they're all available to you right here. And I can take a look at them. I can search on them. If I want to take a look at email, I can look at different email ones. We're good to go. Incorrect email format. I can click on that. I can drill into it and take a look at all of the different ways this works. Is it an out-of-the-box one, or is it one that I created on my own? Who made it? I can learn all about the data metric functions that are in Snowflake right here from Alation. Now, not only can you do that, if we go back over here to our lab real quick, we can also see how these apply against the data. Notice I have something called the data health tab. Now, this is the cool part. Not only can I see what DMFs are available if I need to apply them to other areas of my data, when they're applied, I can see the results. Wait a minute, there's something going on with my email. It's incorrect. There's an alert, right? It's pretty clear. In fact, I've got 2 things that I'm concerned with right here. Let's drill down. Let's take a look at this incorrect email format DMF. It gives me an idea of the thresholds, okay? It gives me information around this particular policy. It tells me what areas of Alation are being monitored and addressed by this. Pretty cool, okay? Where it came from, who do I talk to if I have any questions. We're tied directly with Snowflake and their new data metric functionality. And you can actually see it right here firsthand as a business user. So now think about when you're using your data, making sure that you can truly understand and trust the data before you go and actually use it in your next project. Wow, 2 minutes left. That is going to do it for the demo. That's what I wanted to cover. What I'm going to do here real quick is maybe stop talking. David, do you have any questions for 2 minutes, or where are we at?
We have so many questions.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, maybe if you want to just stop sharing, we can maybe just address a few of them here. But I want to thank everybody for joining the webinar and for the great questions. We won't get to them all, but we will try to answer them. I know there were some early on, Raja, about is Snowflake's new data quality monitoring, is it for data at rest or data in motion? And can the data quality metrics, which Gene just did, be integrated into Alation? So
yeah, I'll try to take a very quick stab at it. Depends on what you mean by data in motion. At a high level, data metric function, think of it as a library of your different metrics. And data quality monitoring is a way to do continuous monitoring on objects. So you can think of data maybe stationary, but then you can do continuous monitoring to know as a steward if something is going wrong before your end users detect it, right? So you think of it as data in rest. But I think your question is more on the pipeline side of things. As data is moving through the pipeline, can data metrics be used? The short answer is yes, and there are different mechanisms in which you could use it. It can be based on triggers, meaning only when the data changes, you could automatically do data quality monitoring, or you can do ad hoc. You can simply invoke a data metric function like you would use a UDF. And why that's interesting is you can bake the data metric functions inside your pipeline code, very, very similar to your data quality check. So the short answer is yes to both stationary data as well as data in motion, depending on what you mean by data in motion. If it is pipeline, the short answer is yes.
Great. Gene, maybe this one's for you. Brad asked, does Alation support integrations with Monte Carlo?
Yes, we do. Obviously, the integration that we have with Snowflake is amazing, but we certainly use other data quality tools as well, as you would expect. And Monte Carlo is one of the products that we have an integration with.
All right. One from Harry. Can policies be applied to Snowflake data sources connected, configured in Alation, or is it based on user-specific privileges, regardless of data sources configured in Alation?
It is focused on user privileges. At that screen that I was on, it prompted me for my rights. Now, just because Alation happens to be connected to a particular data source doesn't mean I have rights to that data source. So I would not technically be able to apply a policy against a data source that I do not have access to.
Okay, great. And I'm going to ask one more, be sensitive to time, but maybe from Nona. Does Snowflake provide guidance to help companies keep up to date on privacy legislative changes in different countries?
Yeah, I think we're allowed to take it offline. There are multiple resources, both product resources, thought leadership, best practices, and also implementation resources. I will leave it there, and maybe we can follow up to drill into specific details.
That's right. A great answer, Raja. Well, hey, Raja, Gene, thank you for the great presentation. I appreciate everybody who joined and asked great questions. Again, you can grab this demo instance. You can go to Snowflake and start a free trial. And we will be having more webinars on this subject moving forward. So keep an eye on the Alation event calendar. So with that, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.